set up with Elevation Consult Limited and a research assistant with University of Abuja. He studied Tech and Electrical Electronics at first degree, MSc on ICT, and presently is undergoing a PhD in Computer Science, specifically in cybersecurity. He is the founder of CIG Group, that is Cyberspace Intelligence Group. In Vector PDIA, that means Password Delay Intelligence Algorithm. He has researched on VPN protection in Nigeria, agro-terrorism on food and drugs, dark part of artificial intelligence, amongst others. He is a chartered project manager, a certified wireless network administrator, and a member of the following professional bodies: ISACA First, ICSIC, IEESCN, Guild of Authors and Publishers, and user International Journal of Science and Engineering Research. Nasino is married with 4 kids and lives in Dallas and Abuja. Please let's make welcome Dr. Nasino. Thank you.
Based on recent technological development, there is a tussle. No doubt, there is a tussle between those critical infrastructures that we built years ago and the new technology that we are embracing for now. Picture to play with our mind, the tussle is as critical as this. The new technology is trying to take over what the previous critical infrastructure have been doing, and the critical infrastructure on their own part are still relevant because to a very good extent, it costs a lot of money to put down there when they did, and there is no way you can take them away from development. Let's close our mind a little bit. Cyber aliens have come to stay, and the population keeps growing. If you see this, they keep coming. The malware, the ransomware, WannaCry, Stuxnet, the botnet, the spider, the bots, they keep coming. And to a very good extent, if you check the other parts of the excavator, they are not going back. It just keeps coming. And their population keeps increasing. We're having about 1.7 billion and it's growing. So on our part, we don't need to sit back. The best we can still keep doing is keep working to bring about a balanced structure. Now, what is critical infrastructure? It's very obvious that where we work and other, we have different critical infrastructures. I'm sure most of us here work in places where we have critical infrastructure, NEPA, telecommunication, several critical infrastructures. Okay, let's just run a definition. Critical infrastructure delivers products and services through its interoperability, the smooth functioning of the economy and society. The critical infrastructure were earlier classified as national assets. National assets in the sense that they are built there as framework to take care of every utility in the country. I remember then when I said Owen was building White Elephant projects. As at that time, he was building critical infrastructures as a bedrock of the country that we are today. Now, why is it important? How important is critical infrastructure protection? Let's take, for example, the road critical infrastructure. It has gone so bad that some countries are already building roads that are having sensors. But the one that we have in our country here, to a very good extent, are so dilapidated. We'll take, for example, telecommunication critical infrastructure. As important as it is, if it's not protected, by the time there's an intrusion on that critical infrastructure, to a very good extent, it will affect a lot of other organizations, other critical infrastructures that are interconnected to that one single critical infrastructure. So if we take out our attention from protecting this critical infrastructure to a very good extent, we might be buying what we might not be able to survive with. Examples of critical infrastructures. We have telecommunication critical infrastructure, energy. We're talking about light, electricity, TCN, and all of that. And we have energy as well, petroleum, pipelines. They are all critical infrastructures. And we have the banking sector is another critical infrastructure that we cannot undermine. We have then the military is another critical infrastructure as well. We can keep naming. We have transportation critical infrastructure, aviation, especially the road, rail, train. They are all critical infrastructure. If there's an intrusion in, for example, the tower of a plane, now by the time that intrusion gives wrong information to the pilot, it's going to be a problem. So as much as possible, we still guide on transport critical infrastructure. Agriculture is another critical infrastructure. Water critical infrastructure. Services. Police. Police critical infrastructure, I think my voice will be able to go. And health critical infrastructure as well. Now, I want to give an example of a typical malware intrusion in the critical infrastructure. When Dora Akuyele was alive, she made a statement. She said, those that are perpetrating fake drugs are worse than armed robbers. Now, let's take a scenario that you're not perpetrating fake drugs, but those drugs, they're not expired, but they have agro-terrorism intrusion. How does that happen? Drug production have legislated quantity of titrations that they can say, okay, this, for example, you want to produce Panadol, there are legislated titrations that you know that with this, Panadol can be produced. Take, for example, now, those titrations on their own part are distorted. Instead of this being 10 grams, it's not like 40 grams. Instead of the, let's say, sulfur being 15 grams, it's about 55 grams. Then the one that is supposed to be higher is lower. The drug did not expire, but the component of the drug is worse than the killer. This is a typical example of legislated titration grams for mixing. Now, suddenly somewhere, while they were doing the mixing, one of the staff decided to install just a torchlight from his phone using the VPN of the pharmaceutical company. From that point, a malware are auto-installed into the network, automatically changing the legislation of your titration in your process. Now, the drug produced same color, same weight, no difference, but the gram and the ratio of putting together has already been distorted. Now it's manufactured. The only way such can be caught is by the time we bring in our based on artificial intelligence router before it gets to the quality control. So that it will be, because quality control will still see it as white, as the same gram, and pass it. But meanwhile, it is a killer that just entered into the market. I remember one time Pfizer had this issue. They had this inoculation they did some bread in the channel. Yeah, it was the same gram, everybody saw it, but it started killing children until they had to batch it and take it off. That is what agro-terrorism can cause. Physical infrastructure architecture. Here we have some infrastructure listed here: emergency, government, communication, health, water, energy, financial services, food, transportation. Then you have police, fire, ambulance, coast guard, to emergency, and you have a telecom post broadcast. We're talking about television and all that for communication. Then for energy, oil, gas, electric, which are enumerated already. And transportation, you have the highways, rail, port, aviation, especially aviation. Let me to read all these out. And now, this critical infrastructure listed here, no doubt 80 to 90% of them are legacy. Legacy in the sense that they are obsolete. Obsolete because they've been there for God knows how many years, 100, 50 years, but they are very important. You can't just go ahead and just batch them away because they are obsolete. Now, that is where our research is coming into, to see how we can marry the obsolete with the transient. Now, this is the nature of interoperability. Interoperability in the sense that critical infrastructure have been, let me use the word intertwined, interwoven, interconnected. If you take a critical look at this interconnectivity of interoperability, you look at electricity is up there. Electricity have so much interoperability around it. To a very good extent, our country was very difficult to work on a lot of things. Telecommunication is expensive because of electricity. Transportation is expensive because of electricity. Data is expensive because of electricity. Because a lot of things requires the fundamental critical infrastructure to run. And a very fundamental critical infrastructure that we have here is electricity. From here, you see telecommunication is in the middle. If the telecommunication critical infrastructure is distorted, you're going to have problem with the banking because unlike a lot that are sent from the bank, trading will have problem as well. And even up to those that are doing optical now, this is another interoperability. If you see the oil and gas here, it's connected to government, banking is connected, they are all intertwined. This is what interoperability is all about. Now, narrowing it down to telecommunication, legacy, critical infrastructure. This is a typical scenario of telecommunication. Now, from your desktop, this, for example, this is the bank, that is the bank, straight to the telecommunication mast. From there, communication on this one part comes from your phone to security, to remote centers, to you, and to the satellite. They are all together on that critical infrastructure. Now, take for example, an intrusion, a terrorist now have a malicious attack on this critical infrastructure. Definitely, it's going to affect every other of these components attached to it. We're talking about the banking, even the security, the phone user, even those that are using telecommunication to do business on like VAS, value-added services. Then let's talk about the legacy system of critical infrastructure. Legacy actually, the word just means obsolete. Because to a very good extent, a lot of money has been spent developing, putting these critical infrastructures in place. When there was no telecommunication, when there was no ICT and all that, those infrastructures, they work for us. Take for example, we talk about the former Nitel, I was there before. Those that use the digital, it all worked. So taking all this and batching them and throwing them away, it's not going to be so good for economic growth because they still have a lot of viability. And so what we try to do is to see how we can allow the new technology to work same way too with the previous technology, that is the legacy technology. Okay, let me just talk about the task. Our task is on how to deploy digital solution of security protection on existing legacy system infrastructure. Okay, now to be able to achieve that, you don't just say, okay, we want to protect critical infrastructure. There should be a mode towards that. That is what brought about format preserving encryption. This was developed in such a way that it's going to form a buffer between the critical infrastructure and the new technology and the encryption. Now, what does the FPE do?
it comes in such a way that by the time an encryption is sent from a modern technology like your phone to a critical infrastructure that is obsolete, it comes into the format preserving encryption. It forms like a path between this and between that. It does a lot of encryption and decryption. Inside of it, it does attend to binary coding and decoding this way to make sure that same RTC real-time clock that the critical infrastructure gets the message the way it is sent from the encoder. This is the typical schematics of format preserving encryption. You will see what it does here from the cloud and from a router. A message is sent to a legacy telecommunication mast. How can it get there? Are you going to deploy the operating system and kind of languages? You have like Golang language, you have Python language on this other side. How is it going to be interpreted on the other way? You have to pass through a format preserving encryption that is going to take the legacy obsolete to the modern transit technology, from the modern encryption to the analog decryption, digital encoding to the analog decoding, so that communication will pass through and this legacy critical infrastructure will still remain viable. How did NIST come into this? What is NIST? NIST is a National Institute of Standards and Technology. American Computer Society brought it together in 1989 to solve problems of intrusion, problem of some malware attacks on critical infrastructure in America. Now, it got to a point that they discovered that these critical infrastructures require a particular kind of attention. Now, they started listing the critical infrastructures with how the emergency can be on them. They listed up to the point, then I said, okay, now let's bring together experts to however way bring in a solution on how these mundane critical infrastructures can respond to modern technology in such a way that we'll be able to have a smooth sail. Now, sorry to read all this, based on executive orders, this was put in place, and both the risk managers, auditors, ISACA professionals, and all that, they put them together to bring out a framework on how we can transit from this to the other. And what they did is they eventually now brought some algorithms. We need to talk about algorithms. When we talk about encryption, we're talking about algorithms. They brought about some algorithms, FF1, FF2, FF3 algorithms. These three algorithms have three critical roles to play on the critical infrastructure. Now, one is playing the role of length, time, and cipher transmission. Cipher is more like the messages that you're sending on packet on an OSI transport layer from one packet to the other. Now, the cipher on the other part is the form it takes in the FPE layer to be able to come back this way, reassemble yourself together, and the message is intact. Now, okay, that's about the FF1, FF2 algorithm. Cybersecurity framework by NIST. The management they put together, it's more like a risk management thing that borders around different cadres of management. Now, the executive level, you can see here, all they just do is, okay, we have, for example, 35 critical infrastructures in our country. Which among them are we going to prioritize to say we are having more challenges? That is their work to do, organizational risk. And on their own part, the actions they take is the risk decision and the priorities. By the time they put this together, then they push it on mission priority, they keep budget for it, pass it down to the business process level. Their own job at that point is to now say, okay, this critical infrastructure risk management that has been assessed by the executive level, let us select the one among them that we need to allocate budget. Now, by the time budget is allocated, automatically a framework profile is implemented. From the framework that is implemented, it now passes down to the implementation level, we call that like operation. At that level, they are ones that now do the re-implementation of the profile, because it has already reached the point that it has been itemized to the one that they need to protect. Basically, that is what the NIST framework do. comparative of the amount of algorithms. From immediately, the critical infrastructure has been provided with security based on a recommendation from the business level and the profile that they're built on the framework. Now, you see, implementation process now starts. At that point, then they start trying to do vulnerability tests. You start doing a spectrum analysis. At the same time, too, we now try to start getting information, feedback, impact assessment feedbacks that will allow us to now know the next feedback back to the business process level. You will see it going back there again. Now, by the time it goes back there, automatically they now know that the field has been tested. It will now help them to now change the current future risk. It is possible that part of the risk that they already elaborated from the first part was not as critical as it was, but now that it has been tested in the field, back to the business process, back to the executive, then they now change for future reference. Comparing the two algorithms, basically what there are different functionalities which I mentioned earlier. We're talking about FF1 is basically about the length, then FF2 is about the cipher, then FF3 is about time, seconds in RTC. Now this is the FF1 algorithm, FF2 algorithm. Now, what did we do from all these algorithms? We now decided to now understand a typical telecommunication scenario in Nigeria. We now started looking at these algorithms in such a way that we have to send it back to NIST for standardization. We now started looking at, okay, if our problem, what we're trying to solve in Nigeria here, depends on time and length, why don't we concatenate algorithms? That is what we did here. We're not trying to explain so much. You see, the first part here is a delay character, second part is delay seconds, down to the concatenation itself, which we're not going into. Now, the hybrid model that came out from this concatenation is what we call PDIA, password delay intelligence algorithm. Password delay in the sense that, let me just give you a typical scenario. When you're moving on the road and you see traffic lights, what does the traffic light do? It delays you for a little second, like 30, yes, and what is it doing? It's allowing simultaneous flow in the traffic. It's allowing seamlessness to be in traffic. So we now started understanding about internet on its own. There's been a lot of run on the internet. Everybody's on the speed. How are we going to bring about decorum? How are we going to bring about peaceful movement on the internet? We now discovered that a little delay can bring about a better progress on the internet. So that now gave us the idea about the password delay intelligence algorithm. And it played out in such a way that, for example, this is a critical information infrastructure that we're trying to protect with password delay intelligence algorithm. What it's saying is, if for example that suddenly you know a password. Password to a very good extent is, let me use the word end user introduction into the critical infrastructure. When I have your password and your access, basically things that affect infrastructure are not maybe going to hit on the big infrastructure. No, it comes from the end users. The end user to a very good extent has been itemized as one of the greatest issues we're having in the critical infrastructure. Because if an end user decides to cooperate with a malicious personality, you can almost have a result. So what we now do is this: even if that end user have access to this critical information, he will not still be able to use it. Because there's an encryption somewhere saying, for example, you have an 11 digits information infrastructure. Okay, I get to the 4th digit and I delay for like 5 seconds and I continue. You on your own part will probably say, just put it. And if you try the second time, it takes you a DOS, denial of access. And so you'll be surprised that you actually have been able to get information, but you cannot use it. Because authentication that we're trying to do, probably like capture and OTP is doing, is authenticate always back to the owner of the information. Okay, just read this. PDL means password. I've said all that. Now, we'll just give an example here. For example, BVN is under PDL encryption. Nobody uses your BVN without the authorization, even when they have succeeded in getting the BVN in the form, because that is a critical information infrastructure as well. Okay? They will input the data, but it will not accept. It will not be accepted, as they may not know what digit of BVN the delay is located, and they will not also be aware of how many seconds the delay will be before it's authenticated. Now, this is a typical example of when you dial 565*560 on your phone, automatically it gives you the BVN number. From the phone I registered with the bank, I'm narrowing it down to validation of the model, hybrid model we are bringing up for the critical infrastructure. Now we're trying to apply it on the critical information infrastructure. Now, automatically, if there is no PDA on this, if this BVN number is taken into your darknet or tunnel extension or your Tor browser or your unknown.net, recently the other presenter made a mention about some Nigerians in America that they found out they took a lot of money. How did that happen? CIA in America created a website, they call it X-Kiss Course. It's an nutrition site that they themselves use to go to anybody's account and find out where they want to find out. But Nigerians, understanding more of negative engineering, have to probably use it on the other way. Now, by the time this information is taken to that place, automatically, what it does is this: it will throw up all the account numbers that BVN is protected with. So you can do whatever that you want to do with it. Now, if the BVN is protected under Password Delay Intelligence algorithm, what it does is this, because this is the PDA logic gate, it authenticates back to the owner. If okay, you proceed, then the account number is given. Else, it logs off. When you see a message like this, dear customer, this is to bring to your notice your access online, blah, 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 or your BVN, they're after your BVN. Or you get a message like this. This is the new BVN scan that has been going on for almost like some months now. We need to be careful. The man in the middle that you're seeing here is the one that is trying to use one or two technology to get at your BVN. Because when they get at your BVN, my brother, they get at your money. It's not so loud. I wanted us to hear a little bit about some tips given by presenter in channels about the importance of our BVN. Why it is very important to keep it in such a way that nobody understands what your code is. Because by the time I pick up your phone, it's not my phone, but I type in that code, I'm going to get the BVN. Now, we're trying to go beyond that to now know, even when you pick up the phone and dial that, how is it possible that the encryption will still be there to authenticate back to the owner? That is what he's trying to explain here, but the volume is not. Okay.
Together in Golang. Golang is a Google language put together is Golang language. The Golang language, to a very good extent, allows a seamless transmission between the syntax code itself to the mobile app. Because developed by Google, it became a little bit easier, and it is possible for you to run different programs concurrently. So that is why we chose. If you see from this, what it does is this. From here, you put in the password. Yes, for example, like the BVN, you choose the character delay, maybe like 3 at the third character.
Then the second 5 seconds, maximum attempt twice, and it locks it off. Once you have, let's say your BVN protected with this, any other place that is trying to be used to a very good extent, it protects it. And in conclusion. Okay, now for that of the USSD, it's like this. If you type *565 0, and before it gives you your BVN number, it's going to ask you, is it PDA protected? Now, by the time it asks you for the digit and the second, if you cannot produce it, it locks it off. You cannot use that BVN. But in peradventure that you finally have gotten that BVN, to use it on the Tor browser, which does not give alert because that is darknet. And what it does is, it's going to authenticate you, ask you for okay, you put it in this thing, get to the point where you're supposed to delay, you're supposed to deliver like about 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. If you don't do that, it locks it off and it doesn't bring you back to that site again. So that is how it works with USSD. In conclusion, critical infrastructure, no doubt, 80% of them are legacy, in other words, obsolete. Then the format preserving encryption has been designed to form a bridge between the legacy and the transient IP-based communication. It's not possible for you to have IP-based communication equipment and try to interface it with the old critical infrastructures. There definitely have to be a panacea, a bridge, a go-between. What is going to do the marriage between the transient and the obsolete, and that is where format preserving encryption comes in. Then NIST has been able to put algorithms together to bridge this gap, and that's the FF1, FF2, FF3, First Fiesta 2, First Fiesta 3 algorithms, and they are legislated. They have worked in protecting a lot of critical infrastructures in America, and we on our own part, being members of NIST, have been able to adopt some of their algorithms, concatenated us in University of Abuja, and to a very good extent, sent back to them for standardization, and they've been able to standardize some part of our algorithms. And to further secure the critical infrastructure, NIST algorithm, okay, are concatenated to develop PDA. Then PDA on validation of critical infrastructure or BVN, okay, on validation of infrastructure, of which BVN is one. We are trying to see how, to a very good extent, we push this also. We are having a talk in university with MasterCard as well, because by the time somebody holds your ATM card, the information in that place, if by chance they have your 4-digit PIN, they can do a lot with it. You know, but by the time that digit, even on the way it is on your card, is protected by this concatenation. Yes, they might have it, but they don't know where there's an encryption in that line that is displayed open. You know, because it has gone beyond other parts of encryption. We're now doing authentication. Authentication to a regular extent brings it back to the person that owns the information. Now, by the time you're the one that is saying, okay, go ahead with this, it's authenticated. And if it's authenticated, voila, is as good as you can use it and to any length. Critical infrastructure with this is no more obsolete and secure from terrorism, because what makes it obsolete? Inability for it to bring out its full functionality. By the time it has this technology, embedding it to run with IP addresses, what are we talking about? It did not become so useful because these critical infrastructures are so expensive. You can imagine what it took in those days for them to put those critical infrastructures in place. Now, are you going to erode them because new technology is coming? No. The best that we can do is to look for a way to marry the obsolete, which is the legacy, which is the mundane that they call it, to the recent technology, which is with the routers, with the programming language, and with the IP addresses. Finally, this research complements all other researches and recommendations listed on different journals. References.
why it's critical infrastructure, because it's maintenance of those equipment. Knowledge that not beyond those that are supporting it and not be supporting the new thing and are break down those equipment. So in the impression there was a revelation between going with the new one and the cost of maintaining those old ones and the cost of integrating those old ones with the modern system. Because when the still going to keep going ahead, new technology will come, that means you now have to integrate it to work with any new thing that is coming along. So how long can you sustain that?
Thank you. By the time you try to remove costs from the new one to the old one, you discover that it will still be a little bit cheaper to still have viability on those old ones. Because one, the kind of technology that they were built with were very strong technologies in those days. So take for example like the NITEL critical infrastructure that became obsolete. But before it became obsolete today, that is no longer in use. When MTN and Glo came up in 2000, 2001, they were using that critical infrastructure. They were running on TDMA, time division multiplexing access. To a point where they now could discover that they didn't apply enough technology to now marry between that technology and the new GSM technology. So what they now did was, instead of improving on that critical infrastructure, they now went on CDMA. That's a code division multiplexing access. Code division multiplexing access allows, for example, about 4 to 5 networks to be on one mast. Now your talk and your division is no longer divided with time; it's divided with alphanumerics. So that allowed that because before you pick up your phone and call somebody, you say, we're speaking Yoruba to me. I don't understand Yoruba. Call is already intercepting between one to the other. But if you see, it has reduced drastically because of the trend of CDMA. So the cost to a very good extent, and they discovered that the cost of putting that together was not going to be the best. Rather, they started building infrastructures that are now using CDMA. So to your question, there are some critical infrastructures that you don't even start thinking about how to start revamping. Take for example the NIPOS critical infrastructure. The federal government is a good government. They've tried to pump so much money into it, brought new Postmaster General and all that, but you still see that the speed of technology have taken over that aspect. So on that aspect, that is why that NIST board is very important. Their work is to prioritize the critical infrastructures that they need to term as, let me use the word risky, and to be able to now push in money.
Technical in this environment.
Was apologizing, let it not be.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, critical infrastructure in Nigeria is mostly owned by government and their agencies. So in which I want to maybe, when you go back, put this down in a layman language that can actually make them buy into it. Because if you want to sell a product and the buyer does not even know what you are saying, you may not be able to drive home your point and be able to sell your product. Even though it looks okay, the other aspect of it is that marketing it will be a problem. So I advise that you go home and see how you can market it in a way that government will buy into it. But all of us, whether we like it or not, it is there. The issues are there, and we cannot run away from it. Okay, so I thank you for the effort.
I'm sure that we learned quite a lot of this presentation, and we still have the material to us. So please, I would like to ask that we move to the